Hello students, welcome back to the third installment in our video series about how to write an argument with somebody who is in a position of authority. If you are on this video, congratulations, you're in the home stretch. You should be done with your letter by the time you're done with this video today. So we're going to start off by talking about how to write your introduction. Now remember, if you haven't finished up with all of the rest of your argument, my side, their response, the administrator side, and my response to it, you need to stop the video now, go back, finish up the rest of your letter, and then you can come back and end here with the introduction and the conclusion. So today, we're going to start off finally with this introduction. And we already have our salutation, Dear Mr. Foley, Mr. Holly, and Mr. Hubbard. In order to write a good introduction for somebody who is in a position of authority when you're writing a letter, you want to start off by talking about why you're writing the letter. Give them your ethos. Why are you credible to be writing this letter? And then finally, you want to end with your argument. What is it that you want from them? So with those three things, we should be able to get off on the right track with our administrators here. So first and foremost, I'm going to talk about why I am writing to them. Well, I guess I'm writing because they asked for it. Like they asked me for some suggestions for change. Well, maybe not me specifically, they asked you guys, but it was something they asked for. And they wanted to know if there were any problems that we felt needed to be fixed, any problems we felt needed to be addressed, and it should be something that affected students in years to come, some sort of way of leaving a legacy. So I'm going to start off with my why. And I'm going to even give them a little bit of a context for it. Dear Mr. Foley, Mr. Holly, and Mr. Hubbard, during the week of April, what was that Monday? 21st, even though we weren't in school. Mr. Holly came in to request that my students write a persuasive letter to leave their legacy at Walnut. Okay, that's the why I'm writing, at least part of it. Part of the problem with this for me is that I am not a student. So immediately, I am going to struggle a little bit here with my ethos. If I were a student, I could jump right in and say, I'm an 8th grader, I've been here for 3 years, so I feel qualified to give you my opinion on this issue. But I am not an 8th grader, I'm a teacher. So I guess I need to talk a little bit about why I am writing and use that to help establish my ethos. So I'm going to say, even though I am not a student, I have been in the building for 4 years. Okay, so that's part of my ethos. And I consider myself to be a wildcat. I want what's best for Walnut. Okay. So that's part of establishing my ethos. Now, I have mentioned like how long I've been here in the building, and I know that some of you who are writing have not been 8th graders for 3 straight years here. Maybe you started off as a 6th grader and then you came back again in 8th grade, or maybe you just moved here this year. Whatever the case may be, remember, they asked for this, and they want whatever will leave a good legacy for all Walnut students, not just the students who have been here for 3 years straight. This is for anybody. They want to make sure that brand new students feel welcome here in the building. They want to make sure that returning students feel welcome. And part of my argument that I'm writing is making sure that even guests feel welcome in our building by making some simple adjustments to the bathrooms. So keep that in mind, that as you are writing your own ethos, you are credible. They did ask for this, and because you are a Walnut student currently, you have the ethos to write this letter. So I've got some of my ethos established here. If you feel like there's more stuff you can go into, maybe you are writing about the athletic equipment, you can talk about your time spent playing football or playing soccer. If you're talking about the dress code, you can talk about any other experiences you've had in other places. So anything you can do right here to establish why you are credible, why you are trustworthy, that's what you want to do. You need to get them to try to listen to you right off the bat. Finally, we're going to end with what we want. And that is our argument, written in one sentence. What is the issue we are trying to argue? So I know, according to my 4-square argument chart up above, it says that my issue is the 7th and 8th grade restrooms, specifically the issue of the toilets. I don't want to say I want what's best for Walnut 7th and 8th grade restroom toilets. I want to make sure I actually write that out as a complete sentence. So I'm going to start off with, that is why I believe it is time for us to update Walnut's bathroom facilities. And I always spell this word wrong. Facilities. I think it's a C, but I'm going to have to go back and check that. Specifically, the toilets. So by the time I'm done, I should have a why I'm writing, you asked for it, my ethos, I've been here for 4 years, and what I want, new toilets. During the week of April 21st, Mr. Holly came in to request that my students write a persuasive letter to leave their legacy at Walnut. Even though I am not a student, I have been in the building for 4 years, and I consider myself to be a wildcat. I want what's best for Walnut. That is why I believe it is time for us to update Walnut's bathroom facilities, specifically the toilets. If I go straight into the rest of my letter, it now says my first reason for wanting to update the toilets, and I've got a nice little transition here between my introduction and my first paragraph. So far my letter is blending pretty smoothly. If you feel like you don't have a very solid transition from that introduction into the first paragraph, that's okay. Don't worry about that right now. We're going to get into that when we start doing our revising a little bit later on. So you guys don't need to worry about that right now. Hopefully, at this point, you've got your introduction done, and we can move on to the conclusion, which is going to be very, very short. All right, we have written my side of the argument. We have written out how they might disagree with us. We have written their side of the argument, and we have addressed all of the issues that we think we can address. So that brings us to our conclusion section. And in the conclusion, I'm going to want you guys to do 2 things. Restate your purpose. That's the what. What did you want? Remind them what you wanted. And then one last thing to tie to the ethos is to state your opinion. Hopefully, if you established your ethos well enough in the introduction, they're going to believe that opinion, and ending on that opinion note is going to be very strong for you and very persuasive for you. So I'm going to begin by restating my purpose here. It is necessary. That's another version of the word need, by the way. And remember, we said those persuasive words are good persuasive techniques to use. Should, must, need to, ought, any of those types of words are great to use here in your closing lines. It is necessary for us to upgrade. I'm going to use that same word again. I want to repeat that word. Our toilets in the 7th and 8th grade restrooms. to improve the public perception of Walnut and to get on par with the other two middle schools. Now, all I've asked you guys to do was restate your purpose. So technically, this right here is the restating of my purpose. It is necessary for us to upgrade our toilets in the 7th and 8th grade restrooms. That's what I wanted. I want them to update the toilets. So that's all I've asked for you guys to do. If you want to do like I did here and repeat a couple of your points that you feel maybe are the most strong or the most persuasive, it's okay for you to do that. Remember, we said repetition is a strong tool to use, especially if you've got it in the closing. You want to remind them about what you've been talking about. But like I said, it's not necessary for you to do that. The last step then in your conclusion is to state your opinion, a strongly worded opinion. Must, need to, should, could, ought, all of those would be important words to use here. I'm going to say this upgrade, update, upgrade is a must, I think, for the benefit of all of our students, staff, and visitors. And already, even as I was saying it out loud, I really don't like how I have it worded. I think I would rather start with I think instead of throwing that into the middle of my sentence. But this is a thing for me to work on revising a little bit later on. The last thing for me to do is my closing. I've got a couple of options here. I said dear Mr. Foley, Mr. Holly, and Mr. Hubbard originally, so I could end with sincerely, or I could end with maybe respectfully. Either one I think would be appropriate. And then we're going to sign our name. And then you print it down below. And that's it. That's the end of the letter. So if you've made it this far, you've gotten through your conclusion, you have your restatement of your purpose, and you've ended on that strong opinion, hopefully you have a strong persuasive letter and you will be ready to move on to your revising and your editing the next time we meet. Good luck, folks. Write a good letter.